Madam President?
Senator from Wyoming.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, as someone who's practiced medicine in Wyoming for about a quarter of a century and is a medical director of the Wyoming health fairs to bring low-cost blood screenings to people all around Wyoming, I've been very involved in the health care issue and actually helping to provide health care for people. And it was ironic last night during the State of the Union to listen to the President talk about health care as if he had some understanding of how it all worked, and it became evident to me sadly, that the President put forth some bold proposals and then came out with a 2,700-page bill that I think many people who voted for never read, didn't understand, didn't know the harm it was going to do to American families. And then the President last night is talking about it during the State of the Union in ways that he thinks it's actually helping people. And it may be helping some, but it is hurting many, many more. And it's not just the website. The website's just the tip of the iceberg. Huge damage being done to families. And I bring a letter today from a family in Wyoming that just came in to talk about how much this is harming this person's individual family. A man from Upton, Wyoming, a small community, somebody who tries to get up every day, go to work, take care of his family, put food on the table, and yet his whole family is being harmed by this law that the President has put into place, forced down the throats of the American people on party line votes. So let me just start with the letter. And he talks about opening up my insurance letter today has led me to write you this letter. He says, I'm usually the type of person that just keeps trudging along. And I think all of us have constituents who are like this. They just keep trudging along, he says, and take things as they come. He says, I'm a longtime resident of this beautiful state and graduated from the University of Wyoming, as so many people who live in Wyoming have done. He said, I'm married. I have 4 young kids from ages 9 to 3. 4 young kids, ages 9 to 3. He said, we're a healthy and an active family. Non-smokers. Go to the doctors for emergency care only. Go to the chiropractor and dentist regularly, he said. He said, I have a high deductible insurance plan. $10,000 is what he's had as an insurance plan, a $10,000 deductible, which is high. And he said he's paying for that $584 a month. You know, I really wish the President of the United States would get letters like this and read them and understand the impact that he is having on their lives and how much his plan is hurting American families. So Justin writes, he said, now due to the current health care climate, I'm going to have to pay $945 a month. So he's paying a lot more. He was paying $584, now $945 a month. And he says, and they have conveniently raised my deductible to $11,000. So he had a $10,000 deductible, which is high. They've raised that, and they have raised his premiums from $584 to $945 a month. He said, how does Obama expect the middle class to stretch their budgets every month to get health care coverage? That's what the middle class Americans want to know. How does this President expect the middle class to stretch their budgets every month to get health care coverage? He goes on, how can we get rid of Obamacare? That's a question that I was asked repeatedly around the state of Wyoming last week. This gentleman goes on to say, every chance you get, please vote to repeal Obamacare. Now, the President last night ridiculed people like Justin, ridiculed him, saying, well, sure, you know, vote over and over and over again. This man from Wyoming is saying, every chance you get, vote to repeal Obamacare. He also said, every chance you get, please help the middle class. Every chance you get, please help the middle class. We're not seeing that from this President, this administration, and those who supported these policies, which have hurt the middle class. He said, thank you, and I appreciate your leadership for the state of Wyoming. He said, now I'll go back to working hard to pay my insurance bill. And probably for the people that Obama is trying to help. He finally says, Obama stated to the public that our premiums were not going to rise. Thanks for listening to me rant. Well, I don't consider what we're hearing from my friend Justin from Upton, Wyoming, a rant. I hear it as a cry for help from a health care law that the President and Democrats have forced down the throats of the American people against their will. Many people who voted for it never read it, didn't understand it, and I really have strong doubts that the President himself understands the health care law, what's in it, and the damage it continues to do to middle-class Americans and families all across this country. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.